Hello, this is Cherryville Mayor H.L. Beam, and I would like to talk to you today about the upcoming obligation bonds that will be on this November election ballot. Other city staff members will use film spotlights to address this bond package as well. David Day will be discussing the impact of the bond on the Main Street project and economic development. Public Works Director Brandon Abernathy will be discussing the technical side of the project and engineering. Finance Director Dixie Wall will be discussing the financial picture of the bond. Event Coordinator Mary Beth Tackett will be discussing the impact on the community and businesses throughout our city. Assistant Fire Chief Jason Walford will be discussing the needed fire flow, line size, residual, and flow. And finally, City Manager Jeff Cash will discuss the overview of the strategic plan and timelines. The first bond in the maximum amount of $3,300,000 plus interest is to pay capital costs of providing improvements and paying related costs and providing that additional taxes may be levied in an amount sufficient to pay the principal of and interest on the bonds, as adopted by our City Council on July the 13th, 2020 for downtown improvements. Now, this bond adoption will be necessary for our city to incentivize future businesses and housing projects to locate within our city. We have experienced problems with the current water and sewer infrastructure in our downtown area. We cannot expect to see future growth within our city if we cannot supply sufficient water pressure for sprinkler systems as well as adequate sewer systems for businesses and housing projects willing to establish residency in the downtown area. All of this is necessary to see our downtown area develop and escalate to a thriving community. Now, the second general obligation bond in the amount of $3,600,000 plus interest is to pay capital costs of providing water system improvements and paying related costs and providing that additional taxes be levied in an amount to pay the principal of and interest on the bond as adopted by our City Council on July 13, 2020. Now, our present water system infrastructure is in dire need of improvements. We have patched and band-aided this system for so long that we now have to pay the price for this neglect. I know almost everyone has experienced some type of water problems, whether it be the turbidity and dingy water to inadequate pressure or broken lines. My own street from the top of Spring Street to Hawthorne has seen 7 breaks within a period of less than 1 year. There are only 5 houses occupying this section of street. We must attack this infrastructure aggressively from the origin to the center and beyond if we are going to supply our citizens with clean water. It is necessary and imperative that we have the funds to begin to focus on a turnaround in our water system improvements. The third general obligation bond in the maximum amount of $1,800,000 plus interest is to pay capital costs of providing sanitary sewer improvements and paying related costs and providing that additional taxes may be levied in the amount sufficient to pay the principal of and interest on the bonds, as adopted by our City Council on July 13, 2020. Now, this bond will provide the necessary funds to address the infrastructure of our sewer system improvements. We face the same problems with our sewer system for the same reasons we have with our water systems. Neglect and lack of revenue has kept this infrastructure from the needed improvements for so many years. These funds will be a big step toward tackling the problems within and providing adequate infrastructure for our businesses and residencies. This current City Council and Mayor, as well as our City Manager and City staff, have seen the problems facing our neglected downtown area and decaying infrastructure in our water and sewer systems. We cannot expect our city to nurture and grow without major changes. We cannot ignore these problems any longer. Although a bond referendum is sometimes not a popular subject, this council has decided that these problems cannot continue to be ignored. And the only way to remedy these is to make a bold decision and ask our citizens to provide the needed funds to move forward with restoring the city's infrastructure. In conclusion, I urge all citizens to go to the polls and cast your ballot. My hope is that in doing so, you will strongly consider what is the best step needed to make our city better and greater for all of our current and future citizens. Thank you for your time and consideration for listening to comments from your mayor, city manager, and staff, and concerned citizens of our great city.